Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal. I'm joined by Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Be here.
So, Something in the Dirt. I've seen all your movies, and I think this one's my favorite, not just because you guys are back, but I really like this movie. And it's hard to explain, so could you give people an idea of what the movie is?
I'll take a shot at it. We when we make our indie films, we typically don't have to go pitch them places. So when we do this, then we try to give a good log line and always stumble a bit. But I'm gonna try. Something in the Dirt is about two new neighbors who are also potentially two new friends. But that friendship faces many stumbling blocks when they encounter an otherworldly phenomenon in the newer of the two tenants' apartment. And they decide to embark upon trying to document this phenomenon to attain everything from fame and fortune to perhaps spiritual awakening.
Well, I think that was a good job of explaining what it is. Obviously, the movie has a plot, but I think the movie's more about the themes of the movie. Was there ever, what was like the point where you guys decided like, this is what we want to make? This is a story we want to tell?
I mean, it came together very quickly where we had decided to make a movie under lockdown conditions. And we had a few bumpers on what we knew we wanted out of it, which was, personally, we were trying to predict what other lockdown movies would be like. And we really didn't want them to be that. We didn't want them to be about loneliness and isolation and Zoom and pandemics and going crazy in an apartment and all of that. Now, a lot of people are going to watch this movie and still feel like it's about that, but we really were just trying to express ideas more around folie à deux when it comes to going down a rabbit hole that may not have a bottom. Our take on a haunted house and all of that. Even though, of course, I don't think anybody calls this a haunted house movie unless we define it as such. But it's so I think that the idea came together very quickly after saying we want to make a movie. It was a few days later of sitting down and thinking, okay, why don't we finally make that movie that we always talk about, which is how would two rational people respond if they saw the supernatural? Most haunted house movies have people just trying to escape. But in our opinion, if there are ghosts and demons and or supernatural forces out there that are far beyond our scientific understanding of the universe, it feels like curiosity is the more default reaction, at least from Justin and I. That's probably roughly where the similarities between ourselves and our characters end. But that was something we'd want to put out in the world, is be curious about this kind of a thing. Don't fall in and don't run away. There's a wonderful middle ground, which you can tell that kind of a complicated and nuanced idea when you make a small indie film.
Speaking of small indie films, I do like there's a line in the movie about we're going to get this at festivals and we'll get at least like $10 million for it. I assume when that plays at festivals, that line probably gets a good response.
I think so. Is that one of the better ones, Aaron? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's funny. We've only seen it with an audience a handful of times. I'm sorry, an English-speaking audience a handful of times. And so the humor, does seem to work very well with English-speaking audiences. But it's there's at least a chuckle.
It's weird you said it was a haunted house movie. I really saw it as like a commentary on the internet conspiracy culture.
Sure.
It could be. Well, it's so interesting because we shot it in October 2020. You getting that right, Aaron?
Yeah.
Yeah. The bulk of it. The bulk of it. We continued shooting for a year after that, but most of the movie was shot in October 2020. And oddly, at least in the sort of universe that Aaron and I and David Lawson inhabit. Internet conspiracy theory or conspiracy theory in general wasn't quite as big of a thing. It probably was. Maybe it was to everyone else, but to us, it hadn't quite hit yet that was a big thing, for us, anyways. But it was interesting and horrifying to see it become a very, very big problem.
Yeah, we were more commenting on the X-Files and the fact that people grow up on that, and then the idea that sci-fi myth can become other people's realities in a very real way, and there's kind of a duty of the author to be careful about that. But the modern conspiracy thing that's going on right now, we made this movie 2.5 years ago. As Justin said, it was out there, but it could totally be viewed that way, but was not our intention.
Yeah. I like a lot of the vagueness when you're like, oh, I heard this on something, but no one knows exactly where most of the time. Like, oh, I heard it on a podcast or I read it somewhere, and oh yeah, you can just go look it up. It's true. And I like that kind of thing because I see it all the time on social media. People just telling you, yeah, you go look it up. It's true.
Well, I mean, Justin, would you say that one of the biggest problems that we personally see, and this is in our own lives, within our own circles, not within our own bubbles, I guess is a way to say it, is that a lot of people don't quite know how to differentiate between something being a reliable source and something just existing in there. Therefore, it's true. Mm-hmm. And by the way, that's not us saying anything profound. Everybody knows this and everybody believes it. That's the weirdest part. Like
I think even
everyone on this call gets fooled by it too. Yeah. We all get fooled by it.
I think even in the movie, the characters on some level think some of this, they kind of know some of this stuff is probably not true, or it is true, slightly true, but you if you want to believe it, you still go with it. It seems very real.
Mm-hmm.
And now, speaking of the comedy, though, so they have the radiation suit, and that's very funny to me. Is there ever a point, though, when you don't want something to be too funny because it could take away from the more powerful aspects of the movie?
That's a really good question. It's weird because it gets into this like very gut level instinctual idea of tone. And it's never that the joke's too funny. It's just that sometimes the joke just seems like it should be in a different movie. But it's not like the degree to which it makes you laugh. It's just more like, oh, sometimes it starts to veer off into sketch comedy, or something you might be more likely to see in like like Anchorman or something like that. And Anchorman, personally, I'm not even saying this is a joke. Personally, I actually think Anchorman's like an amazing work of art.
Yeah,
I wouldn't trivialize it in any way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it tonally it is a completely different thing than the world that our movies take place in. So it's really that, and it really hurts too sometimes when it's like like every time you show that joke to people, they have a full on belly laugh and they love it, but then you just kind of have to be honest with yourselves that unfortunately it's in the wrong movie.
Well, I thought it worked because actually when I think about the conspiracy theory stuff, a lot of that stuff is funny on the surface to me, but then when you think about people actually believe this, it takes away the humor of it, and you're like, oh, these guys, these people are very serious about these things that they think about.
Mm-hmm.
So it worked for me. But you said you had a festival run, but you were only at one English speaking festival.
No, just a handful. It was the film went everywhere. It did so well, and we're so proud of it. And actually, what's funny is it played something like a dozen festivals all in like a weekend or 2 weekends or something. And we couldn't go to any of them because we were releasing the film here in the United States. And so we were, by the way, the world's smallest violin. It's like so cool what this movie has done.
Right.
And I mean, pretty amazing. And it really blows our hair back. And we're so proud of it because we just found out yesterday while we were doing a live watch that it broke into the top 20 of all movies on iTunes. And the next lowest budget above us and below us was $10 million. And then there's this movie just kind of like sneaking its way in there. That was very cool.
Budget is a relative term.
I guess it is.
And then, 1,000 could be a little
yeah. But yeah, we did Sundance, but that doesn't quite count. I mean, sorry, it does count, of course. But when you're talking about seeing it with English speaking audiences, it was online this year, so we didn't get to see it with an audience. But we did get to see it Fantastic Fest and all these wonderful other ones.
Yeah. I met Justin at Fright Fest in London briefly.
That was so fun.
Yeah,
we'd never been before, and also the scale of that film festival is pretty wild. Those giant IMAX screens, and when you're walking in, and the staircase is like lit up with fright. It's like Vegas. It's amazing.
You know, it's funny. I realized that those IMAX screens are so important to Fright Fest that they're basically like its number one, in my mind, it's like their number one marketing tool. Like when I think about Fright Fest, I'm going to think about back-to-back IMAX screens. And I want to play my movie there. And an audience that shows up and packs it. That's crazy.
What's the difference between, making a film that's going to play well at a festival and it's going to play well on video on demand to a wider audience?
Oh, really good question.
Heavy.
I actually don't know. I won't even claim to know that.
I do. I just realized I know the difference. The quality of your poster art.
Good.
Which sometimes I don't think is always better. It just has like orange and blues or something.
Yeah.
I like your answers. Like, I got it. Color saturation on the key art.
Yeah, it is. It is like the things that do well on VOD have so little to do with what the movie actually is, and everything to do with like, will someone click on that thing? So.
Yeah, I did notice a difference. The other one, the original poster was like gray with the brains, and then the new one is more colorful. But they're both very cool.
We are so lucky that in our careers we have always had huge amounts of input with the distributor on all of our marketing materials. So except for foreign marketing materials, those just come out and we're horrified most of the time. But domestically in the United States and often in the UK, we get a heavy hand in it, and we're so happy because we're so proud of it all. We can put the posters on our walls and not have to cringe a little bit, All
right.
There's actually, this is fun. There is some. I want to softball this. There is some key art in certain territories of resolution that are not North America that like literally look like bootleg CDs from like the mid 90s. Like I guess like it looked like a photocopy, and like the design it's like the concept itself is like, what? What is that?
Very weird. Like it might as well have like that screaming girl like clawing her way towards the camera on it, and it's like there's not even a girl in that movie. But also, by the way, there are some absolute crimes against design internationally for synchronic. Oh my goodness, absolute crimes. Everyone pretty much nailed the endless. Those were pretty cool in other territories, but yeah.
Very good. Well, it's out on video on demand now. Something in the Dirt. I really liked it, and not just saying that because you guys are here. It's my kind of movie, and it's thought provoking. I really liked it, and I saw different things maybe you guys intended, which I think is always a good thing.
It was designed that way, and thank you.
Yeah, and I appreciate both coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Take care, man.
Great background.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Look at that background. My
I
goodness.
still have the lights up from Halloween, but I thought they still look cool. So.
I already like
Never
you because
take it down.
you're just like this old thing. It's like the most amazing background.